Hello everyone, welcome to the Buzz the Prey Manga. Today we continue the latest Global Freeze chapter, rewritten and edited by me in English for a smooth reading experience. All visuals and story flow are personally edited to give you the best manga style storytelling. Support the original creator by checking the official manga. So let's dive right into the today's chapter.
Chapter 2868, Experimental Planet Zhang. He has a very deep understanding of this. He had seen it with his own eyes when the palace was first established. Even the octopus-like creatures under the knight's command are no weaker than the current Black Knight. Zhang Yi warned in a deep voice, "I'll say something that you might find absurd, but you'd better keep it in mind. Treat every wild puppet as a worthy opponent of your level." If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, Luo Qiao and Shunfeng would have thought Zhang Yi was crazy. Near this shattered planet, there are more than 100 wild golems visible to the naked eye. Zhang Yi was not wrong. Although their direct destructive power does not reach the level of a Black Knight, they pose a deadly threat to every Black Knight. But your power traps them, right? Luo Qiao stared intently at Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi nodded. My space, has temporarily imprisoned them, but I'm not sure how long they will last. His words were half true and half false. He knew very well that the power of the netherworld was completely opposite to that of the present world. Those artificial Drucker flesh cores were completely unable to absorb any matter from the netherworld. Just like a monster that feeds on flames falling into water, it will completely lose its power. Zhang Yi has decided on one thing. Now his netherworld has trapped the core of the wild puppet. Taking advantage of the fact that the power of the netherworld is completely opposite to that of the present world, and that the Eriku cannot absorb power, the Eriku cannot attack him. No, other people don't have this kind of good luck. Even he, wielding the eternal sword of judgment, couldn't destroy the core of the sword, so it would be difficult for others to deal with it. In fact, Zhang Yi had another method in mind, which was to try using Li Changgong's special power. After all, Li Changgong's sword, though slow and short-ranged, possessed the power to disintegrate anything in the material world. Back when facing Mammon, it was even powerful enough to slice through his flesh. Zhang Yi didn't believe that the cores of these desolate puppets were harder than Mammon's body. However, doing so would destroy these flesh and blood cores, which he felt was a waste, so he would not choose to do so until the very last step. Luo Qiao and Shunfeng have tried it. When they encounter these troublesome guys, they also have the option to run away. Continuing like this is not a solution. Luo Qiao frowned and looked at Zhang Yi. If we want to get through this area and reach the depths of the Star Corridor, we can't rely on you constantly using your powers to travel through it, can we? Zhang Yi's eye twitched. If he were to continuously travel through space in the universe, he would probably have to wait until his next life. However, the entire galaxy region is so vast that they cannot summon warships. They want to leave now, and there's a way. That is to completely resolve the troubles caused by these wild puppets. Unlike the super races like the White Dragon Prince, they do not possess the immense power to explode like a planet. Zhang Yi turned to look at the dark silver metallic planet. I suspect this is the control center for those wild puppets. Let's take a gamble and go deep inside to find a way to control them. What do you think? Luo Qiao and Shunfeng's expressions were somewhat solemn. Although we now know the weaknesses of those wild puppets, what's the difference between an indestructible weakness and invincibility? If we enter the metal planet, which is the stronghold of the Aragu, the danger will be greater than in space. However, they have no other way to go right now. Luo Qiao cautiously said to Zhang Yi, I suggest we observe for a while longer. If we are sure that you have truly sealed the cores of those wild puppets, then it will not be too late for us to enter the metal planet. Zhang Yi nodded. Very good. I appreciate your cautious approach to things. Beyond the cosmic dimension, time becomes less significant. Zhang Yi waited patiently. On the other hand, he really wanted to see the alien races that he didn't get along with die in large numbers here. Right now, he still needs these guys to attract the attention of those desolate puppets. Zhang Yi directly stated his conclusion on the Wanzhou public channel. I have already found the weakness of these desolate puppets. It is located in the core of their chest, where there is a core the size of a grain of rice. This thing is very difficult to destroy. You must find a way to seal them away or banish them. Remember, do not try to kill them completely, because these creatures feed on everything in this world, including matter and energy, so they will only grow stronger the more you fight them. Upon hearing Zhang Yi's voice, a somewhat familiar voice came through the public channel. Chaos, how's the situation on your end? Zhang Yi glanced at the person's name and realized that he was Vishnu, one of the leaders of the three-headed tribe. He had seen this person before during the All Races conference. Because they cooperate with the humans of the Proto-Kingdom, they are relatively neutral races that lean towards the Dado people. Zhang Yi said, "Not good. We've been avoiding these guys the whole time." He didn't mention his own journey to the metal planet, but Vishnu would naturally ask. In the vast universe, we are still a very long way from reaching the next spatial node. These guys are too persistent. There's no way to avoid them. How did you manage to do it? Zhang Yi said, "I have my own sealing methods, and I don't need to tell you about them." Another person asked, "What are your plans next? Is your spaceship capable of leaving this area?" Zhang Yi said quietly, "No, I'm thinking of a solution too. I think that if we really want to escape this area safely, we must solve the problem of these desolate creatures." In the communication channel, a powerful member of the symbiotic race inquired, "Mr. Chaos, what are your thoughts? At this time, we all need to unite and overcome the difficulties together. Please do not hold back." Having said all that, Zhang Yi slowly began to speak. "Isn't the answer to how to do it right in front of us? You already have the answer in your hearts, so why ask me?" Zhang Yi didn't directly order everyone to go to the metal planet, because if that were the case, others would definitely think it was his conspiracy. He needs to let these people discover the problem themselves. Sure enough, among all the tribes, those who managed to come here were the elite of the elite. Not one of them was a fool. Looking out over this starry sky, there is only that huge, broken metal planet, and nothing else around it. Even a fool would know that the key to solving the problem lies on this metallic planet. A powerful member of the symbiotic race asked, "You mean you want us to go to that planet? Isn't there even more wild puppet on that planet?" Zhang Yi said calmly, "Even if you don't go up, do you think they won't come as we get closer to this area?" A brief silence fell over the communication channel, because everyone realized that these wild puppets were being hunted by the madmen. Once they sense the immense power emanating from these newcomers, they will relentlessly pursue and harass them until the very end. The powerful member of the symbiotic race immediately said, "Well, this might be the only thing we have to choose right now." Chapter 2869. The powerful member of the Type 2 wild puppet symbiotic race appealed in the channel. "Today, there are hundreds of elites from various races here. I hope that everyone will refrain from any further fighting. If the zero-star incident happens again, we may all die here." The symbiotic race is a powerful and symbiotic race. They can coexist with any race and are therefore known as peacemakers among all races. Therefore, when he spoke, the other major ethnic groups also echoed his sentiments. After all, no one can guarantee that they will be able to escape this star system alive right now, so survival comes first. That's true, but from beginning to end, Zhang Yi didn't see any of the races that attacked him utter a single word. Zhang Yi didn't care. After their attack on him was exposed, the two sides became irreconcilable enemies. If these star corridors completely obliterate themselves, then upon returning, the weakest among them will be banished to the cosmos, never to return to the Imperial Star. They have no way out. All right, let's each go our own way, and keep in touch if there's any news. Zhang Yi glanced at the time. Half an hour has passed since I sealed the core of that desolate puppet in the netherworld, and it still hasn't shown any unusual changes. Zhang Yi felt a little relieved. He looked at Luo Qiao and Shun Feng. "If we're ready, let's launch the attack." Urge nodded, his eyes solemn. Zhang Yi activated the power of the Boundless Realm, and with the two others, he sped directly toward the metal planet that had a large chunk broken off at the speed of light. Their arrival naturally attracted the attention of many wild puppets. Many of the metal boxes containing the unsealed wild puppet also left the boxes and pounced on them because they sensed the approach of the powerful energy body. However, Zhang Yi already had previous experience and knew how to deal with them. He didn't engage in any unnecessary fighting. Instead, he activated the boundless realm, dragging them one by one into the depths of his netherworld. Once they entered the netherworld, there was no energy to absorb, and they instantly became lambs to the slaughter, forced to submit to the endless darkness, even finding it difficult to move. With Zhang Yi's guidance, the allied forces of 10,000 races quickly regained their composure after their initial confusion and panic. They all possessed the unique talents of their respective races, and each team in the allied forces possesses various unique abilities. There are also quite a few aliens who possess sealing abilities. Although they couldn't use the netherworld to restrict the wild puppet like Zhang Yi, they could still temporarily disable it. Soon, the death toll decreased. Although it cannot be restricted indefinitely, it at least provides temporary time for action. Countless warships flew toward the metal planet. When the alien life forms sensed their approach, the autonomous defense system of the core area of this massive metal planet, built entirely of technology, was activated. An unidentified life form has been detected approaching. The aircraft is classified as a level 2 to 3 aircraft, indicating a low-level civilization. Activate the autonomous defense function of the biological experimental field and release Type 2 wild puppets. This enormous planet is not just a surface region. It is entirely constructed of metal, with layers upon layers from the inside out, covering a wide range of massive experimental fields. Inside, there is a three-dimensional space covering tens of thousands of square kilometers, resembling a cube platform. Once the planet's autonomous defense system was activated, huge cracks suddenly appeared on this planet. One seal after another was unlocked. Physical, energy, and biological levels, various sealing methods, like sealing demons, are endlessly combined. When the layers of seals were broken, the abyss that was revealed showed 10 enormous metal coffins. Heavy and desolate, as if from ancient times, its energy-binding locks are like giant centipedes, tightly coiled around it. When the system's instructions were transmitted here, the energy locks slowly unlocked, and the centipede's arms retracted back to the center of the lock core. Laugh. A dazzling light emanated from the coffin. Then the coffin lid slowly sank down, and a thick, cold aura turned into white smoke, spreading from the coffin. This temperature should not exist in the world, but only in the universe, which would be absolute zero. At this temperature, the movement of all particles will be at rest. One could even say that time is frozen within this region. As the temperature rises, the cold air is gradually dissipated. A pale but strong arm opened the coffin and slowly walked out, revealing a fair and handsome face. He raised his head and looked up at the sky above. The sky contains useless and dying stars. In the starry sky corridor, one can hardly see any distant starlight. Instead, one can only see the world constructed by the Star Clan and the blue radiant halo suspended in the sky. How much time has passed? Am I still not dead? He murmured. The seal of endless years was nothing more than a blink of an eye for him. The planetary heart autonomous defense system alerted me. The experimental planet has been invaded by alien civilizations. Please eliminate the invaders as soon as possible. Intruder? The revived Type 2 Aragu rubbed its brow. Unlike those ugly and twisted monsters before, he looked absolutely perfect. You couldn't even detect a single pore on his face with a magnifying glass. He was powerful and beautiful, with a pair of pure white wings growing from his naked body. Every muscle on his body was full of explosive power, yet he was not bulky. The Star Clan is a powerful and proud race. The life they create requires not only immense strength, but also a perfect physique. Therefore, those Type 1 wild puppets were nothing more than abandoned, defective products. These Type 2 wild golems, however, are highly intelligent beings. Intruder? I haven't heard that word in a long time. Drucker? No. Other lower-level intelligent beings were created by future creators. You need to completely erase them to prevent the data from the experimental planet from being leaked. The Type 2 wild puppet gave a cold laugh, a fleeting red light flashing in its eyes before quickly returning to its clear state. Strange, a virtual autonomous defense system. How could those things get close? We encountered a more powerful civilization before. The outer defense system of the experimental star has been destroyed, and we have now lost our autonomous defense capabilities. Chapter 2870, The Wild Puppet Swarm? Oh, is that so? The Type 2 wild puppet's face revealed a strange expression. What kind of being could break through the Star Clan's defense system? How interesting. After quickly processing all the external information in his mind, he couldn't help but let out an endless sigh. More than 2 billion years have passed. Then let me go and meet the new universe over the past 2 billion years. A magnificent and powerful battle suit automatically emerged from the coffin and attached itself to my body. With a flap of its wings, it took flight. On this experimental platform, 9 other life forms, originating from the depths of the experimental star, chased after the invading aliens. Deep in the universe, after learning that Zhang-Yi had gone to the metal planet, the 3, Edward of the Vampire Clan, Rand of the Spider Demon Clan, and Barboda of the Noral Clan, immediately and without hesitation headed straight for the metal planet. The 3's goal from the beginning was very simple: to finish off Zhang-Yi here. Their various races' spaceships descended upon the metal planet like a swarm of bees. In the middle, it naturally suffered a large number of attacks from the wild puppets. However, after mastering the sealing techniques, the monsters were no longer fighting so badly and were able to gradually descend onto the planet's surface. After landing on the metal planet, Zhang-Yi simply scanned the surrounding area and couldn't help but feel deeply shocked. To create an enormous planet entirely through technological means, that's a terrifying undertaking. This made him quite smug after reaching the Black Knight level, and he restrained his inner complacency. Compared to the truly great and godlike Namio, Namio is still far behind. Liu Karen emerged from the shadows, immediately placing his hands on a silver wall and activating his void transformation ability to disassemble and analyze the materials. After some analysis, Liu Karen was completely shocked. I've never seen this kind of material before. Zhang-Yi looked at and said, "What's wrong? What level of toughness does it reach?" Liu Karen shook her head. "It's not just about toughness. I even feel that when I touch this material with my hands and activate my ability, the power is like sinking into a boundless deep sea." She immediately said to Zhang-Yi, "Brother Zhang-Yi, this material has extremely strong resistance to supernatural abilities, making it very difficult to analyze it using my void transformation. Therefore, I hope you can collect a large amount of this material. Once we crack this technology, we will have taken another big step closer to becoming a master-level master." Liu Karen wanted it and Liu Karen got it. It's that simple. Wherever she goes, she gets what she sees. Zhang-Yi's gaze became somewhat intense. Liu Karen can be described as a copycat master in the field of mechanical engineering. Nodded. "I understand. But now that I think about it, it's even more terrifying how the 6 super races managed to shatter 1/3 of such a planet." However, Zhang-Yi doesn't have much time to collect materials right now, because the moment they landed, an unusual disturbance came from the depths of the planet. Splash! Splash! Dozens of wild puppets rushed out from the depths of the shattered planet. Without the slightest hesitation, Zhang-Yi activated the Boundless Realm, instantly pulling a wild puppet to his body and then stuffing its head into his void prison robe. Luo Qiao and Shun Feng stood guard beside him like bodyguards with swords, and no one dared to make a move rashly. This scene was witnessed by all those desolate puppets. Zhang-Yi used the same method to pull the second wild puppet in front of him. But this time, it resisted desperately, as if it had been prepared for it all along. Its power surprised even Zhang-Yi. But it was all in vain. The God-slaying armor's exoskeleton forcefully shoved it into the netherworld. The dozens of wild puppets that had been poised to charge forward suddenly stopped in their tracks upon seeing this scene. Then they scattered in all directions in a flash. These guys actually still have the will to run away. Zhang-Yi was somewhat surprised. I thought they only relied on their abilities and would try to kill anything they saw. But before Zhang Yi could finish speaking, the bodies of those desert puppets that had fled to extremely remote places underwent different changes. A metal pillar, several meters high and over 10 meters long and wide, was pulled from the ground and slammed down on Zhang Yi from a great distance. The creature lay prone on the ground like a tiger, its body covered with layers of flame-like markings. One of the wild golem's throats writhed, and a plume of black smoke billowed from deep within its throat. Then it opened its mouth and spat out a powerful beam of fire attribute energy that slammed into Zhang Yi from 7 kilometers away. Dozens of wild puppets, each of which displayed completely different abilities. These guys are trying to find your weaknesses. Luo Qiao cautioned, is the ability to fight in a group significantly greater than that of a single fighter? That's terrifying. Zhang Yi's eyes narrowed. The Taishu bathrobe unfurled around him, absorbing all the energy that was attacking him into his body. The God Destroyer Armor's intelligence system assessed the combat strength based on the attack intensity of these desolate puppets. Their superpower index is between 30,000 and 40,000 points. This level of attack could not harm Zhang Yi in the slightest. Zhang Yi reminded Luo Qiao and Shun Feng. You don't need to use your hands. All forms of attack will be absorbed by them and converted into their own energy, so they will become stronger the more they fight. The two nodded, neither of them acting impulsively. Just as the group of wild puppets failed in their attack, a wild puppet slowly walked out from behind. Its eyes were fixed on Zhang Yi, and suddenly its 2 eyeballs began to twist strangely, forming 2 pitch-black vortexes. A moment later, the space where Zhang Yi was located was suddenly distorted and folded, like a black hole at Zhang Yi's current location. This faint spatial power was completely absorbed by Zhang Yi's Taishu bathrobe. I can't let them get any closer. They've even managed to get in with spatial abilities. I'm going to wipe you all out. Zhang Yi chose to attack. Quickly activated the formless realm, locked onto a direction, and chased after it. The desolate puppet had already witnessed all of Zhang Yi's abilities. The instant Zhang Yi pulled it in front of him, an unimaginable force suddenly erupted from its body, forcibly breaking free from Zhang Yi's grasp. Chapter 2871 Sealing Techniques. Zhang Yi's eyes narrowed. To prevent being swallowed by the netherworld, they transformed their bodies with enhancement abilities. These guys' fighting instincts are truly terrifying. So far, we have witnessed the transformation of abilities such as Logia, Enhancement, Me, and Beast. The most powerful one is naturally the one that targets the spatial system of. However, the spatial manipulation techniques demonstrated by the wild puppet were very rudimentary. Higher-level time-based and rule-based abilities have not yet appeared. However, upon closer reflection, the reason can be guessed. Because both time and rules touch upon the principles of higher dimensions of the universe. These biological weapons clearly do not possess such advanced intelligence. That being said, the energy fluctuations on those desolate puppets rose and fell. She actually transforms herself among various different non-human beings. They were trying to find ways to deal with Zhang Yi's powerful spatial defenses and attempt to break through this barrier. Zhang Yi found it somewhat troublesome to successfully bring all of them into his alternate dimension all by himself. I don't want to waste time here. The longer the delay here, the more savages will gather here. At that point, had no choice but to flee. Said to Shun Feng. Shun Feng Pavilion, please lend me a hand and throw these guys into my body. Shun Feng nodded silently. In an instant, S figure vanished from its original spot and reappeared behind a wild puppet. The light-speed fist was unleashed directly, slamming it into Zhang Yi's body. The Taishu bathrobe unfolded, revealing a curtain like the starry sky of the universe, which then acted as a pocket to hold it inside. Very good, that's it. The two worked together flawlessly. Within 10 seconds, it had absorbed all the dozens of wild golems into its body. Although the people tried to evolve themselves in order to resist Xuanfeng's terrifying power. However, Shunfeng did not give the monsters any time to evolve to have sufficient defense. They were all killed in one hit. Shunfeng walked up to Zhang Yi and said in a calm voice, "After leaving here, we will need 10 of these desolate puppets." Anyone could see how powerful the biotechnology contained in these desolate puppets was. Zhang Yi looked at. "Can your Abyss clan suppress this?" Shunfeng raised an eyebrow. "Of course we have our own methods. The Sea Abyss clan's technology is also very advanced. Now that we know that the wild puppet can be sealed, I naturally want to obtain some of it." Luo Qiao also came over. "Our Eldar race also needs some." This time, Zhang Yi didn't try to bargain with them. Instead, he simply nodded. "Good." Did not hesitate to share the treasures on these wild puppets. Because the eyes of the eye already basically know where these guys came from. If we can delve deep into the experimental star, we will have the opportunity to master the nuclear technology used to manufacture it. At that time, obtaining these wild puppets will be more important than acquiring them. Just as they finished dealing with these wild puppets, several nearby spaceships quickly landed. Many fully armed creatures of an ancient race descended from the spaceship. Zhang Yi looked around and recognized them. These elite warriors, even the weakest among them, have an ability index of over 30,000. Moreover, the team was led by several powerful warriors of the Black Knight and White Knight levels. For example, the Abyss clan from the depths of the earth, the Kraken clan from the North Sea Abyss, and the Emerald Feather clan from ancient times. The creatures appeared entirely dark green, with a pair of almost transparent wings, and possessed many characteristics that Zhang Yi considered to be insects. Is a person whose whole body is full of explosive power. These ethnic groups once held sway over a period of time, and the relationships between them were neither good nor bad. However, one figure looked at Zhang Yi with a hint of resentment. Zhang Yi couldn't help but laugh. That was Hulun, a dog-headed man from the Diora tribe in Egypt. Having been chased away by Zhang Yi before, naturally has no good feelings towards Zhang Yi now. Zhang Yi and his men joined forces to seal away dozens of wild puppets. Although they didn't understand what sealing method Zhang Yi used, it confirmed one thing for them. The previous fear of the wild puppet stemmed from a lack of understanding of its abilities. Everyone here is a Black Knight-level powerhouse. If Zhang Yi can do it so easily, then we have nothing to fear. Monkey is a member of the Ihen race, an Abyss race from the 5th timeline. The creature has very obvious lizard-like features, but not as obvious as those of the dragon race or the people of the Uran Empire. For example, it doesn't have a long tail or long horns on its head. It only has fine scales on some parts of its body, so at first glance it doesn't look much different from a human. Meng Qi said to Zhang Yi, "I didn't expect you to have cleared this battlefield so thoroughly. What are your plans for the future? How about we travel together?" Zhang Yi's current strength has been recognized by all races. Out of caution, Manchi decided to act together with Zhang Yi. After all, those with sealing abilities are highly sought after. Zhang Yi raised an eyebrow. Nowadays, everyone's power structure is clearly divided. The humans, the Abyss race, and the Spirit race are all lackeys of the Dragon race. Moreover, the Hand of the also possesses the secrets of divine script, so naturally it cannot be shared with its people at will. The key issue is that these people haven't yet gained the trust of the authorities. Just then, a cold voice came from the side. "Why should we cooperate with you? Don't forget, you're being hunted down right now. Do you want to get involved in other people's troubles?" The voice came from the kobold Hulan behind them. He held a golden scepter in his hand, his eyes fixed on Zhang Yi warily. Before, Zhang Yi stole a portion of the origin of the small world, and did not forget. Zhang Yi gave a light snort and said calmly, "It's all right. More people aren't necessarily a good thing. More people mean more targets, which makes it easier to attract the attention of the wild puppet. We'll go first. I don't want to continue chatting with these people." So, he quickly activated the formless realm with Luo Qiao and Shunfeng, and left this place. Meng Qi said helplessly to Hulan, "After all, the Nene has more experience than the Nene. Didn't you see the sealing technique the Nene just used? With the Nene, the path forward for the Nene is much easier." But some people said calmly, "I think Hulan is right. Now that Chaos is the only Black Knight level being among the Mon people, Mon has offended too many races. Not to mention that, as the top henchman of the Dragon Clan, directly provoked the Tyrannosaurus clan. For example, if you kill powerful members of the Vampire Clan, the Nor Clan, the Spider Demon Clan, or even a powerful member of the Nightmare Clan, those people won't let you go.
Alright,
It's best for
that's
you to stay away from
today's
trouble.
chapter. Tell me in the comments which part you enjoyed the most. If you love manga style stories, don't forget to like the video and subscribe the Buzz Play Manga. See you in the next chapter with more surprises. Thank you.